The story between The Fiend and Alexa Bliss is one that will now forever remain controversial between wrestling fans. It did provide fun, happy memories and moments from those segments, but some fans will always now say it's the driving force that ended Bray Wyatt's tenure in WWE. So this video is looking at them from the very start and rebooking The Fiend and Alexa Bliss. Before we start, make sure you hit the like button, share the video on social media so your friends can find it, and if you are new, hit the subscribe button. Now, I would keep the story that Bray Wyatt tried to tell us as the most valuable part. I would start this story from the beginning, though. The first interaction, the mandible claw. It got 4.6 million views on YouTube. I don't see any reason to change this moment. This is the start of the Fiend story with Alexa Bliss, and it all derives because he wants revenge on Braun Strowman, the person he's currently feuding with, and of course, Alexa Bliss being his best friend is the best way to get into the monster among men's head. Much like WWE did, I would then have Alexa turn her back on her friends and stalk the Fiend, watching, waiting, and all the meantime mimicking Bray Wyatt, mimicking everything Bray Wyatt did, exactly how WWE presented her. But this is the first change. Instead of just randomly they're together, I would have the Fiend reject Alexa Bliss, leaving the ring, leaving the backstage area, whatever, whenever she shows up, showing no interest in actually being partners with Alexa. Have Alexa Bliss go absolutely crazy as she craves the attention of the Fiend. Have it presented that she's not washing, that she's not looking after herself. Put social media videos up, using that platform to put creepy videos where she says, Bray, I'm here. All while the Fiend still rejects her, maybe even continuing the story with hitting more mandible claws on Alexa Bliss every time she approaches him. For that reason, Alexa Bliss snaps. Alexa Bliss takes revenge on any single person she can find, literally just to try to get the Fiend's attention. I would make the attacks even more random, even more sporadic, and even more deadly than that. Sister Abigail into steel stairs, maybe? Why not? But no matter how deadly Alexa Bliss becomes, he's still not interested. Skip forward to SummerSlam, I would have Roman Reigns return because I wouldn't want to cancel what Roman Reigns is currently doing or interfere with other storylines that he got going on. And I would then skip to Payback where Roman Reigns will pin the Fiend, not Braun. That actually did happen because Alexa Bliss screws the Fiend. She's been trying to get his attention. For the first time, she has new theme song, etc. He pays attention. She low blows him, and Roman wins. So now the psychotic Bray Wyatt has no choice. Physical pain has not stopped Alexa Bliss getting involved in his business. So now he has to go the other route. And that is to welcome her. That is to take her, not because he's romantically embracing her, not because he's attracted to the demon that's inside of her, but because mentally he wants to kill her. And that is how this dark, twisted story begins. I'd continue to have Alexa Bliss do all her wacky possessed stuff as Bray Wyatt is teaching her these mythical ways, but I definitely wouldn't have the Fiend care about Alexa Bliss. In fact, I would have it be known he doesn't care about Alexa. During the Firefly Funhouse, Bray Wyatt could literally hint at that many times over, giving Alexa Bliss silly tasks like cleaning the toilet or something. And I would continue to have the Fiend allow people to abuse Alexa Bliss, like Randy hitting her with an RKO, instead of what we got, and that was him saving her. TLC would go past and I would have the exact same thing happen. The Fiend gets burnt to a crisp by Randy Orton, and that would send Alexa Bliss down that downward spiral she did go in. I would never introduce Alexa's Playground. I never would. I'd continue with the Firefly Funhouse in Bray Wyatt's absence. I would have the Burnt Fiend continue I think you can re-merchandise it, make money off it perfectly. And I would have The Fiend, for the first time, show gratitude to Alexa Bliss because she brought him back. And now we skip to WrestleMania, probably the most controversial part of the story for sure. And I would personally book it the exact same way. Alexa Bliss costs The Fiend his big match with Randy Orton. They both stood there looking at each other, exactly what WWE did. But then the lights go out, and instead of both disappearing, only The Fiend vanishes. And all that's left in the ring is some kind of action figure of Bray Wyatt. I would have Alexa get off that box, go and retrieve that figure, and the lights go out and they are both gone. Waiting all the way to Monday Night Raw, when we're waiting once again for answers, and we get Alexa Bliss in the Firefly Funhouse, and behind her is that figure of Bray Wyatt. One of the best things about the Bray Wyatt story was the puppets, and the fact that they'd be involved in segments that had nothing to do with him, but it made fans pay attention to everything. And I'd do the same thing with this figurine. I would merchandise it, sell it, of course, but I'd make sure its eyes moved. Because if fans get a glimpse of that, instantly they know there is more going on here. I'd have Alexa Bliss really tell the truth and say, he never wanted me to begin with. I saw an opportunity to take what's mine, and I did that. This world that you've come to love, the Firefly Funhouse, the evil within it, it's all mine now. And don't worry, Bray Wyatt's not going anywhere, because I would continue to have The Fiend on TV. I wouldn't have The Fiend go anywhere. In fact, he'd probably be on more than ever, because now Alexa Bliss holds the evil in her hands, and she can summon him. Alexa Bliss controls The Fiend. Separate The Fiend and Bray Wyatt completely. I'd have a good 2 months of Alexa Bliss just dominating everyone in the WWE Women's Division. And I'd do it in such a way where she uses The Fiend to get to them. Not attacking women, but imagine if she wanted to go for Carmella and she had The Fiend attack Corey Graves, or with Naomi, Jimmy Uso. There's endless possibilities on where they could go with that. And only then would I debut Karrion Kross and Scarlett Bordeaux. I would have these two come to the same brand. I would have them instantly feud with Alexa Bliss and The Fiend, and I would have them win. I would have them dominate The Fiend and Alexa Bliss, establish their characters as a team perfectly. I'd have Alexa Bliss snap all over again. You get that life is a circle, repetitive style to the character, where eventually she has no choice but to release Bray Wyatt from his figured tomb. That way, of course, releasing the intelligence of Bray. Yes, he's gonna be angry. But you know what? Sometimes it's better the devil you know than the devil you don't know. And right now on Raw, there's two big devils who's been making a mockery out of the Funhouse crew for a while. And Bray Wyatt puts his thinking cap on, and eventually Karrion Kross and Scarlett lose to The Fiend and Alexa Bliss. I would then have Bray Wyatt ensure this never happens again. Well, the best he possibly can anyway. And I would have him store Alexa's evil powers within a Lily doll, introducing Lily probably 6 months later than WWE actually did. But again, there's the merchandise sales still happening. And of course I would have Bray banish Alexa Bliss to SmackDown. I would have him negotiate something where she had to be a SmackDown star on the opposite brand. You can easily reunite them at pay-per-views because they're both going to use the Firefly Funhouse, just not together except on pay-per-view. I would have Abby the Witch in the window for Bray Wyatt, and I would have Lily on the ledge every time Alexa was on there for SmackDown, giving it exact same story, just in a whole new mode, but keeping it together. And I would also build a rivalry between Abby the Witch and Lily, because I'm pretty confident Abby the Witch does not like Lily one little bit.
Who the are you?
Because even something small like your favourite puppet not getting on with someone else's favourite puppet could cause the rift for another storyline where they screw each other over. See, this is the problem with demonic characters like the Fiend and Alexa Bliss. They shouldn't lose. You present them as these characters that just don't feel any pain at all, and they are completely unbeatable, and then they're beaten in normally stupid fashions. Well, if they constantly screwed each other out of championships, championship runs, etc., there's a reason for it. There's a viable reason why one demon screws another demon all the time, and eventually this war will have to end. How it ends could be very, very fun indeed. You could have Alexa Bliss literally recruit her own monster to destroy the Fiend once and for all, and this new monster reigns supreme over WWE. Or you could even have the Fiend recruit someone else, and the possibilities are endless. But you know where my mind goes straight away? To take out Alexa Bliss's evil character once and for all, starting a whole new story for whatever demon survives the end of wars. No fantasy booking is ever going to be perfect. You can only do it for what I personally would like to see. The problem with wrestling is everyone has to lose, and when you've got characters like this that really shouldn't lose, it's very, very difficult. Even with fantasy booking, you look at these two characters, one will prefer one over the other. Personally, I prefer Bray Wyatt. You may prefer Alexa Bliss, and that's perfectly fine. I still like Alexa Bliss. But you've got to remember the other character too. And you have to remember other WWE superstars' stories and not try and damage those, because some of them are awesome. And it is always going to be the fact of losing that's going to be the hardest part, and how WWE portray it. And that's really what I tried to capture with this fantasy booking, was simply how does the Fiend, how does Alexa Bliss not become the next big thing? Because ultimately they should be, we want them to be, but it's wrestling. And wrestling means losing. But I do hope you enjoyed this video. It's just something fun to watch. If you did, give it a like. If you are new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. It would be appreciated if you share the video on Facebook, Twitter, etc. so your friends can find it, view it, and have their say. And of course, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. How would you book Alexa Bliss and Bray Wyatt? That's an interesting question. I'll see you as always next time. Peace!